Well, it is a day, Sunshine Week. Let's get into the media. And I think you talk about, lawyers. Do people trust lawyers? Do people trust this? The media has spiraled down just a little bit, and all of the discussion in the national political debate. So I thought we should bring in Dr. Angela Powers. And so she's sitting in the chair. Hello, Dr. Powers.
Morning, Terry.
Nice to have you here. And she is in charge of the journalism department at Iowa State. Now, why is that important? Well, just about every anchor you listen to or watch it came from Iowa State University, trained at this journalism school, including Dan Winters, who's well-known and a great friend of WHO.
Hi, Dan.
Kevin Cooney, Steve Carlin. I mean, we go on, and I have to say, Terry Rich. I had a minor. I was on the other side doing the production TV side at the time, but it's such a pleasure to have you here. But let's get into it. Are you doing anything different now in training? Because it seems like things have changed so much in how the media is handling news stories today.
Terry, society has changed. It's changed dramatically. And, for example, social media affects everything we do. Just on my way in, there was a story about how a man pictured on social media implicated him as a gang member when he wasn't. Huh. So it's easier for us to express our opinions, but really difficult for us to distinguish between fact and fiction. And that makes the mission of the Greenlee School of Journalism and Communication, as well as programs all over the country, it's very, very important.
This afternoon, there's a couple of talk shows who would say that all colleges are so liberal and that's all they're teaching is liberal. Do you actually have classes that say, this is how you need to report and the angle you need to take?
We teach objectivity, unbiased reporting. Everybody has an opinion, but it's our job to educate our students that we deal in facts. So we educate our students not only for their lives, but their careers. And our majors in advertising, public relations, and journalism, as well as our minor and our graduate degree, really teach students how to communicate better and clearly and factually today.
You're probably seeing some of the folks who are some of the journalists. Let's just go to shows. And remember, this is a talk show. Hannity's a talk show. Limbaugh's a talk show. The talk shows that are on MSNBC and the others. It's sometimes tough to distinguish between the two. Do you have any suggestions for our listeners of what really, how do you discern and understand what the facts are when things come out so fast, so furious?
We are absolutely grounded in the traditions of journalism, so we have to be innovative at the same time. So media literacy is really important in this day and age, because students do hear, they think of news as what they hear on the talk shows, but we have to bring it back and raise it from a certain level to a higher level, so that they're basing their stories and their writing on what they discover and how they research a story. So research is more important than ever when students are putting together their stories. There's not a lot of time. They're under time boundaries, but nevertheless, you can't just go live with something that might not be true at all. Just as in the case that I just gave you, the photo of a young man that somehow seemed to implicate that he was in a gang when he wasn't. You can't say so.
You place a lot of journalists out into the market in various ways. Wendy Wild, our news director here at WHO, I was talking to her before the show, and she said that she heard some of the networks talking about advocacy journalism now, and that is something that they're trying to look for students that will come out and do advocacy journalism. That sounds almost dirty in the journalism, not dirty, but it seems like it's almost an oxymoron in trying to do what you're trying to do in journalism.
Terry, we've had opinion journalism since the beginning of journalistic times, and so of course opinion writing is part of the journalistic mix. It's a higher level skill, to be able to write opinion pieces is very difficult endeavor. So we like to start our students with the basics in our classes. That's what we do. We teach the 5 W's. and then we send them out to do their own thing. And there's plenty of outlets on campus. So you can write for the Daily, and you can write opinion pieces, or you can write for student magazines. And there are lots of places where advocacy journalism comes into play. And it's all about good writing and good research.
Let me throw a hardball. It won't be that hard, but here's a question. It seems that the journalistic motto is to give the sunshine. We're talking about the Sunshine Week, is to be the ones to protect the citizens from the government. That the government, to keep an open and honest government when it's all said and done. Yet, are there organizations that oversee journalists? Bill Petrosky, who was a reporter at the Register, was phenomenal. I sometimes detested the stories that he wrote, or the angle that he took, I should say, but the guy always got the facts right. That's the basics of journalism. But when a reporter doesn't do that, when you have a reporter that goes sideways, or already feels like he's got the story, he or she has the story before it's published, is there an oversight firm or anybody in journalism that oversees that to kind of knock them down? Because you don't want the government saying things are wrong.
I was just going to say, I don't know if we want oversight when it comes to journalism. We have our ethics codes, we have discussions, we have our mentors, but the idea that we're going to codify what we can and can't do in journalism is probably not acceptable.
Let's If it is wrong, what would you suggest? Somebody feels they got facts wrong in the paper or on the radio or on TV. What would you suggest they do?
Well, the good thing about media today is that it's so accessible to everybody. So, obviously, we make mistakes, and that's why there are ways and means for people to be able to say, and correct. And most responsible media organizations will come back and correct if there has been a mistake. I think that give and take is really going to always be important, and there's just more ways for people to communicate with each other in this day and age. And believe me, if we make mistakes in media, we hear from it. We hear about it, but we always have, right?
Right, absolutely. What's the one thing you wanted to make sure that I ask you, or that you wanted to say as you train the next realm of journalists for the media?
We feel it's all about engagement, how we engage our students, faculty, alums. Give you a couple of examples. We have First Amendment Days coming up from April 10th to 12th on campus, and this is where high school students and community members across the area of Iowa come together to hear public lectures and presentations and marches. And then another way we're engaging is with the Greenlee Summit, and that's next September 5th and 6th. And the topic this year is communications and civility in democracy. And we have some really exciting nationally known figures coming to talk about strategies to address how to create civility in the media and society, and panel discussions and journalists on advertising and public relations, and how negative advertising and social media are actually harming us, and what can we do about all that.
I think you've got a lot of topics there that a lot of folks that are listening right now like this. So what's the website they can find all this?
All you have to do is Google Greenlee School Summit or Greenlee Summit 2019. It'll all come up. There's a place to register. And the First Amendment Days is free. So again, go to our website, the Greenlee School, and you'll find all the information that you need to know.
Sounds good.
Or you can always email me too.
All right. And that email address will be on site. Probably be easier to remember to find it on the Greenlee School website.
That's for sure.
Okay. Well, I know as we talk about opinions, that's what talk shows are all about. And Larry's on the phone. We're going to talk to Larry in just a moment as we continue to discuss media, politics, and what the heck's happening today. Has it changed? Or as we talk about, Marshalltown Times Republican has it in their name. The paper has the word Republican in it. It has always been a little bit in advocacy one way or the other from day one. It just seems so much more prevalent today. We're going to talk with Kevin Cooney, see what he thinks as a former anchor here in the Des Moines market and an Iowa State grad. We'll be back with more. You're listening to the Jeff Angelo Show on News Radio 1040 WHO.